dark of the night, whispers of deceit.
Shadows dance on the walls.
Secrets they repeat. A shadowed figure
with eyes full of lies.
hiding truths in the shadows where no one dares to pry. Uncover the truth, let the lies come undone. Peel back the layers until the light is shown. Uncover the truth, let the shadows run. Break free from the chains and find the sun. Uncover the truth in the dead of the night, where secrets lie hidden like a whispered bite. Uncover the truth in the dim of the light, where betrayals take root in the heart of the fight. In the rain-soaked streets.
All right, go ahead. Shari Pappni. She was trying to get money. So
she was not trying to get money. She was not trying to get money. She just wanted to be loved. She just wanted to be loved.
Well, what about her boyfriend?
Her husband. She had a husband.
Didn't she have a boyfriend?
Yes. She was. It has very many layers to it, but I'll try to do it without you falling asleep.
Okay.
So,
great.
Shari Pappni, if you look at her, she's absolutely gorgeous. She is around my age. She's a little bit older. Her husband, Keith Pappni, was kind of controlling. Their marriage, Keith Pappni was very worried about his image, and he wanted to portray the perfect marriage. They took a lot of pictures, and they tried to show they were happy. They had 2 children together. She married in 2009. She was fairly young. So the background of it was in November of 2016, Keith Pappni came home from work. Shari wasn't there. And the kids weren't there. The kids were young. The kids were, Shari picked them up from daycare. Keith called the daycare, and the daycare said Shari never made it to pick them up. So Keith walked around the house just trying to find her. And what he found, because Shari would run, he found her cell phone with her earbuds and then like a mat of her hair on top of the cell phone. So he was immediately concerned. He called the police. The police came out. It was the Shasta County Sheriff. Of course, everything crazy happens in Florida. So what's really odd, this happened on November 2nd. And Keith did everything right. He went on TV. He did media interviews. He used her name, talked about the kids. Yeah, there was a reward that eventually got up to $50,000 or $75,000. Shari Pappni was very small. She was like 5'3", but I mean, she was beautiful. She was absolutely gorgeous. So eventually, this goes on for weeks, and the police and agents, the FBI, were assuming the worst, that she had probably been dead by now. So on Thanksgiving morning at 4 a.m., a truck driver is flagged down by this crazy looking woman who is in chains, shackles.
Oh my God, it's like that movie that I saw.
They did make a movie out of it. They did make a movie on Hulu about it. Yes.
No, not on Hulu. There was an actual movie that was like this.
Yes. They did make an actual movie on this.
I thought it was fake.
No, it was not. No, it's not fake. Is it something you saw recently or no?
I'll tell you right now.
There's been documentaries. There's been movies. The movie came out, I thought it was on Hulu, but it may have been on FX. I'm not sure. But
What movie was just Gone Girl?
oh, that was okay.
That was a lot like that.
Yes, the police
But that
theorized
was before that move, before this happened.
exactly. Police theorized that she got this idea from Gone Girl.
Of course she did.
That's why they think she did. Oh, first of all, I don't know that she did it. Second of all, so it was Thanksgiving morning. She flags down a truck driver. She's in chains. She has zip ties on her. And the truck driver thinks she's nuts. The truck driver won't let her in the car, in his cab. And he calls 911 and reports her. It's a Thanksgiving miracle. She's found home safe. But the circumstances behind it were just very odd. She had lost a considerable amount of weight. She was only 87 pounds when she was found. Her nose was broken and her hair was cut off very short. She had very, very beautiful blonde hair, and it was cut off very short. She was also branded on her right shoulder, branded. And the words were Exodus, which nobody really knew what it meant. So the story that Sherry Pappni told to investigators, when they first interviewed her, she did not display typical behavior of someone who was in captivity. So that was the first kind of red flag. She was somewhat giggly. She changed her story. Some of the details didn't make sense. Like she could not, like she had no memory of the car that took her. You know, she was running, she got stopped by a car, she got taken. No memory of the car, what kind of car it was, just that they blindfolded her. So that she had no idea how long they drove for. I'm sorry, this was not in Florida. This was in California. I apologize. This was in Redding, California, where they lived. But what eventually happened, she said she was kidnapped by two Hispanic women who wore masks, and they kept her face hidden from her, which police, it was a little confusing for police, because if they were going to keep their faces hidden, there would have been a ransom demand. That was the initial thought. You know, if they kidnapped her and they wanted ransom money, Keith Pappni was successful. He would have paid, and the family had money. So that was confusing. And then the other thought was maybe she was going into a sex trafficking ring. In that case, the assailants wouldn't give a shit about what their face looked like, because they're going to be traded into the, sex trafficking. So they don't hide their faces. She gave various, in her interviews, she really couldn't keep her story straight. She kind of changed things around. The interviews were tough to follow. And it just seemed like she was holding back. It seemed like she was holding back. Now, this happened in, like I said, November of 2016. Nothing really occurs. She goes on with her life. She's questioned several times by the FBI and the police, but it really doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't go anywhere, but it comes out, they get a break because, DNA testing is so far behind. They were able to test her DNA. She said that she was kept basically in a basement room with cracked tile, with a rod that came. She was chained to a rod that came all the way down into the basement. She had a bucket for her latrine, and she was showered abusively. I don't think she said that there was any sexual assault. But the kidnappers, didn't really feed her, didn't really say much. And she remembered that they taped up the windows so like no one could see. Like they put cardboard on all the windows in the house.
Sure.
So it was just strange. It didn't make sense. And so they finally got the DNA evidence back. Like I said, this is 2016, 2017. DNA, they found some hairs in her underwear. It comes back in 2022, I believe, and comes back to male DNA, which was an absolute shocker because, she said she was kidnapped by Hispanic women. And she immediately became like the most hated person ever because of, everything going on with illegals and Hispanics. And she, they felt that she just contributed to making them a target. It said that like Mexican women were afraid to go out, or Hispanic women were afraid to go out in couples because they would be targeted. So what happened was it came back as male DNA. Now, the male DNA was not in the system. They did some ancestry.com stuff. It didn't come up. Finally, they got a hit. And I think it was a year later that they finally got a hit on it. Now, Keith Pappni is the husband, is like, well, just, this is great news. Shari was less enthralled by it because, according to her story, if anything was found out about the kidnapper said, I know where you live. I'll come kill you and your children and your husband and all that. And that's why she was reluctant to give any information. So the DNA finally comes out as a match, and it comes out at a match for a boyfriend that she had back in 2004. It was, I think she was actually engaged to the guy. And so the FBI goes and visits this guy and starts talking to him. And he says that, when's the last time you saw Shari? He's like, oh, I haven't seen her in years. I don't know anything about her. I just heard about her disappearance and all that. So he basically lies for hours during this interview. And investigators just get frustrated, and then they finally confront her with the DNA evidence. And that's when he dramatically changes his story. So according to him, was her husband, Keith Pappni, was beating her, and he came to rescue her because, they were close. She was a friend, apparently. She apparently bought burner phones so they could communicate. Although there was no evidence technically found that they were used for that reason. And so she had a lot of injuries on her when she was first found. There were bruises all over her body, the branding on her back, 87 pounds, a broken nose. She just looked like she looked emaciated and like she was a domestic violence victim. The ex-boyfriend was James Reyes. And he was the one who picked her up. And during the interview, he said that she asked him to inflict damage on her. So he started hitting her with hockey pucks. He got out a hockey stick and hockey pucks, and he started whacking her with it. And you could see the bruises on her body. She had bruises all over. They also they asked about the branding. She said that was her idea. He went to a dollar store and he got this thing that said Exodus. They heated it up, and she said, "Brand me." And like, she didn't scream or exhibit anything to show that she was in pain. She controlled the entire kidnapping, so to speak, and James just did what he was told because he thought that he was helping a friend. James Reyes was never charged. So the FBI brings Shari in 2022 and confronts her with, "We talked to James. This is what he told us. You need to come clean, and come clean now." And she cried. She stuck to her story. Her husband basically abandoned her. He walked out of the room during the interview. He said, I can't do this. This is just ridiculous. And it set off just a firestorm. So California has I guess it's a fund for victims that provides them with money, therapy, and whatnot. It's the California Victim Compensation Board. She received more than $30,000 from it, and she also was able to get treatment for this. And again, this is between 2017 and 2022. She goes to her lawyer, and her lawyer looks at the evidence and basically says, this is going to be a battle. This is really going to be difficult to win. She did not want in there that she admitted to the kidnapping being a hoax, but for sentencing leniency, she did. The other thing was the children. She did not want to lose custody of her children. But what came out afterwards, a documentary was released this week coming from Shari Pappini's side. And she said that Keith was very, very abusive emotionally, not physically, and very controlling. He'd want to know where she was at all times. He was verbally abusive to her. Didn't think she was a great mother. He made her sign a post-nuptial agreement, basically saying that if she had any infidelity or if she did this, and this, and they got divorced, she would get nothing. And she signed it, unfortunately. So she goes to court. She pleaded to one count of mail fraud and one count of making false statements. I can't remember what the mail fraud exactly was for, but the false statements, it's a federal crime to make false statements to the FBI. They could have charged her with like 10 of them. And I think they only charged her with one. She got 18 months of prison, followed by 3 years of supervised release. And she is supposed to pay $300,000 in restitution. She had a job before marrying Keith. And I think, a lot of the issues started when she stopped working because she wanted to work. She wanted to have a career. She loved her career. And losing that career was a big part of why she may have wanted some excitement in her life, why she may have gone through with this. But, the FBI profiler really did a number on her, just saying that she didn't exhibit any victim behavior. Like, if you were abused like this, if you were branded, if you were beaten, hockey pucks knocked into you, she had hit her with a hockey stick over and over. Like, if you see the pictures of her,
why did she have him do that?
To further her story, but she claims, I just watched the new documentary. She claims that it's all, she signed the agreement under duress because she didn't really have a choice, and she was vilified in the public, and her attorney didn't think any jury would give her a chance. So she signed the agreement, and in the agreement, the indictment, it says that I perpetrated a hoax of my kidnapping. Her concern was the custody of her children. Keith applied for full custody of the children and actually wanted her to sign over her parental rights. She did not want to do that by any stretch of the imagination. So she signed the agreement. Right now, she was living for a while. When all this went down, Keith immediately separated from her in 2017. She lived with Keith's sister, her husband's sister, basically her sister-in-law, because the sister-in-law and the husband, Keith, did not have a good relationship. And she knew how controlling Keith could be, how Keith was more concerned about keeping up with appearances than anything and wanting to look good and not necessarily caring for Shari. The dynamics changed, obviously tremendously about, when she was arrested. She was very involved with being on camera, just as Keith was. And then she started developing a really inappropriate relationship with Keith. Now, after all this happened, the divorce, the kids, now she's back with Keith. It's a toxic, inappropriate relationship. They're not married or anything, but they're still physically involved. And it's really strange. It's very strange. And the other thing that was discovered, Shari also has a sister. She's not particularly close with her sister. And she also said her sister is involved with Keith. Her sister has an inappropriate relationship with Keith. They're close, and they're still really close. And they raise her kids. And I think her name is Sheila. And it's just, they showed in a home video where you see Keith and Shari's sister engaging physically in a way that you would just be mortified at. And then the father in the background goes, "Oh God, holy crap." But Keith has never discussed his personal life since the divorce. Both Keith and Shari were interviewed for, I think you may have seen this, Hulu's The Perfect Wife, where Keith praised Shari's sister for her support during the controversy. And he said that the sister was just an amazing support source for her. because I mean he was going through hell. He loved this woman, and the strangest thing was, so Kate Sherry basically came out and said the entire kidnapping was true. James Reyes, my ex-boyfriend, sent 2 Mexican women, covered their faces. They kidnapped me. They drove me from Reading. I think it was a 4-hour drive away where nobody could find her. And, you know, she was beaten. She was branded by her captors. And, you know, some psychologists and some doctors looked into it and they said, there's no way that a human being would let this be done to themselves. I mean, are you going to sit there and let someone fire hockey pucks at you? Are you going to put your arms on a table and let someone brand you? Do you really believe that? I mean, human instinct alone. We. Oh, you're muted. You muted yourself.
What was the nonsense reason that she was doing it?
The nonsense reason she was doing it was she felt she was in an abusive relationship with Keith.
Okay.
She was hoping to gain sympathy from Keith by going through everything that she went through. Maybe he'd be a little bit nicer to her. And maybe their life would improve. But as far as like a strict, can you tell me the reason you did this? She really doesn't give one. And I don't think, you know, she can. Well, I think she can.
Redding, California is where they're from.
Yeah, they're from Redding, California, but that's the thing. It was a small town crime. It was a small town area where the police were not used to dealing with a crime of this magnitude. So
the restaurant looks good there.
It is. It does very much so.
Did you say look it up?
No. They showed some pictures around town.
Yeah, it's good.
There's limited things to do.
It's like a cowboy town.
Is it really? Is it close to the border?
It's close to Oregon.
Oh, Redding's not close to Oregon. Where she was taken was closer to Oregon. Does it say Redding's close to Oregon?
Redding, California to Oregon.
I thought it was south.
Oh no, I'm wrong. It is. Yeah. Well, wait, no, to Oregon border is. It's 115 miles.
It's that close. Okay.
Yeah, 2 hours.
Oh, okay. I was wrong then.
It's close to Nevada too.
I thought she was driven several hours away. I thought when they showed it on the map, Redding was more in southern.
3 hours from Nevada.
Yeah. So again, this went on for years. 4 years, there were no developments. They stayed married. Nothing really improved, but once the DNA evidence came out, Keith was thrilled. Sherry was mortified because she saw like maybe the lie was going to be exposed for what it was. Now, again, James Reyes was never charged. He gave his interview. Police found no deception, even though he lied for 3 hours. During the first interview, when they confronted him with the DNA, he came clean and said basically everything that happened. Sherry, in her description of where she was being held, described his house to a T. You know, from the cracked tile to the metal rod going down, the chains. But James Reyes said that it was all her idea.
Beautiful town.
She said that, you know, she was doing this because she was in an abusive marriage. And, you know, he thought he was rescuing her. So now she is only allowed.
Back to him.
What?
She went back to him when they captured him.
They've had an inappropriate relationship, yes, but she also, once she kind of found out about the sister doing things while she was in prison and then continuing this inappropriate relationship.
What do you mean, hooking up?
Yeah, they were fucking. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's not an Eskimo pie, right? Yeah, it is. That's an Eskimo pie.
That is exactly an Eskimo pie.
Yes. I can shove it in Tyler's face. I know an Eskimo pie.
That's one right there.
But so like I said, looking at this case, she has to pay $300,000 in restitution. Okay. She was divorced. Keith got primary custody, and her only contact with her children are through FaceTime calls, which Keith often changes or cuts short. What are your initial thoughts on the situation?
Well, I think it's nutty, is what I think. Craziness, to be honest. I don't.
It was a huge manhunt, trying to find her.
Like, what was the? I don't understand what the point was.
What the point of doing it all?
Yeah,
I mean, she has mental health issues. I believe she's bipolar.
Okay.
But I honestly think that she was very unhappy in her marriage because Keith was very, very controlling. Keith was very emotionally abusive. And maybe her hope was that by doing this, Keith would be nicer to her. And she's also an attention seeker.
Obviously.
She's also, according to FBI profilers, a people pleaser. So she's not someone who would stick up for herself.
Got it.
And she basically took this for years. And the only reason that they believe she concocted this all and came back was to make it look good. She came back on Thanksgiving morning. It's a Thanksgiving Day miracle. Sherry Papini's returned. And she said that she asked James, her ex-boyfriend, to bring her back because she missed her children. And she wanted to see her children. But when you watch her documentary, and I encourage you to do you have HBO Max?
I think I do.
You should definitely watch it, because when you hear her side, because they did a special on Hulu, they did a special on Dateline, and she admits to concocting this hoax. But when ID Discovery tries to do it from her point of view and gives her the freedom to, just speak freely, she reveals a lot. And, how would you feel if, how would your wife feel if you came to her 8 years later and said, here is a contract. If you commit any of these, we have a post-nuptial agreement. If we get divorced, you get nothing. I mean, would she take kindly to that?
No,
she wouldn't. She wouldn't, would she? And she did 10 months out of her 18-month sentence. She was, federal prison is no picnic, but she was placed in one of the nicer prisons in California. She's only paid $1,000 out of the $300,000 she still owes. She was living in a halfway house until her probation was over in 2023. She's on supervised release until 2026.
Right.
She's divorced. She rarely sees her kids other than through the FaceTiming. She has three children. Keith, wanted her to sign over her parental rights. She never did. The marriage was eventually dissolved in May of 2023. Keith was granted full custody. Shari is only allowed monthly 1 hour visits with her kids, where she is supervised by a court appointed agency. And Keith does not speak to Shari outside of court or mediation. I believe that she can contest custody again down the road. She is currently writing 2 books, and she's working very, very hard at a new job. She has to work remotely, but she works hard. And she today on the docuseries that I told you about, this is where she says that James Reyes abducted her. And the FBI is not investigating it. The police are not investigating it, but she has some credible people on her team that say, certain injuries, like the bites that she had bite marks on her thighs. She had a footprint on her back, the branding, melting of her skin, which was done with a candle. There was no consent for any of that, she said. And then she also revealed that she was sexually abused early on in childhood by someone other than her parents, and that experience molded her personality.
Sure.
That's what made her more of a people pleaser. And, if I can placate them or make them calm down and be okay, I'll get hurt less. And her mother corroborated her story, acknowledging there was inappropriate sexual behavior that I don't want to get into. So would you believe that this is 100% a complete hoax? Do you think that it possibly lies somewhere in the middle? Do you think that she was full on kidnapped?
I believe it was a hoax
From the start. You don't give any credence that.
Well, would they kidnap her and then she said, "Please abuse me"? I don't get it.
Well, that's the thing. That's why I have trouble believing that it was purely a kidnapping. That was purely a hoax, because if you go online and
look, shit available with this.
What's that?
Was there any kinky sexual shit with this?
No. She initially told investigators there was no sex at all. But apparently there was, because of the hair found in her underwear. But
so she had sex with her captors.
Her captor. There were never apparently any Mexican women. Well, I mean, she claims there was, but there's no evidence to show. They brought the crime lab to her ex-boyfriend's house and, searched it up and down, found no DNA of another woman, especially a Hispanic woman. Right. So that part is screwy. James Reyes admitted to picking her up. And he claims that he did this because she was in fear of her life, that Keith, her husband, was abusing her. So there's two sides to every story, and then there's the real truth. I believe that the truth is somewhere in the middle here.
Meaning
But
what?
well, I mean, I always tend to be a bleeding heart, and I want to believe in people even when it's blatantly false.
Mm.
I think that she may have planned this,
Mm.
but I think that at some point it got out of control. And if you, like I said, if you just Google pictures of her and you see the chains that she's in, and you see that she's emaciated, like if you're, I mean, if you
Right,
want to make
that would make you think. Why is it?
a
How, how is it a hoax if she's 80 pounds? Like, why was she
80
starving?
pounds,
Why
yeah,
was she starving herself? I don't.
maybe to make it look good, I don't know, but I mean,
That
she's
seems
small.
to be a painful masochist way to do things.
If you look at the picture of her branding, it does not look pleasant.
Hmm.
And James Reyes said that like she didn't scream out in pain, she didn't do anything. She was like on a mission to have this done.
Maybe she's a masochist.
I don't think she is. She just seems like a regular house mom.
Nah.
Um, I think that she
She has tattoos now.
she did. Yeah, she got tattoos. She got tattoos after all this.
Yeah,
She's
maybe she was just a freak.
she's not a she's not a freak. She was a house mom of 3 kids.
She's a freak.
She was abused by her husband.
How did he abuse her?
Emotionally, verbally.
Okay.
She made her sign a post-nuptial agreement,
Maybe
which
she
is
was
kind of
nuts.
ridiculous.
Maybe she was nuts.
She does have mental health disorders, yes, several of them. You
Mhm.
know, as far as especially being a people pleaser, and I thought she had bipolar disorder, but I just can't believe somebody would
Mm.
willingly let themselves be branded or
Mm.
come up with the idea. You know, I'm going to go through all this. Hey, what the hell? Let's brand me. Let's make it look real good. I mean that's you do that to cattle. Like I just don't see that as being possible.
Yeah, I
I
don't know.
I don't see her, you know, letting this guy take slap shots off her body. And that's why I said if you can
Maybe
pull
she
up,
was kinky.
she's not. Will you stop with the kinky? Why does it always have to be kinky? It's not kinky. I just want to see if there's images of her injuries. If you can see any of the if you see the images of her injuries, I think it may change your thought process. I just want to see if there's images of her injuries because when you see how badly she was hurt, you have to admit that just the human psyche does not like pain, does not like her nose was broken. Like there's a picture of her nose broken.
She's a
Um,
masochist.
she's not a masochist. You don't just wake up one day and become a masochist.
I see the branding.
Okay, so you see how badly that looks? Do you see the hockey puck injuries where she's got bruises all over her body? Do you can see the spine and her back because she was down.
Did you see the movie Gone Girl?
No, I just heard about it because they
Watch
said
that movie and you'll believe that she's a fucking nut job.
they said that this was based off of Gone Girl. They said that, you know, she had watched Gone Girl and she got the idea of doing all this from Gone Girl.
Yeah. Okay, Boomer has it correct. Crazy people do crazy shit.
They do. They do. Crazy people do crazy shit. I agree.
She's crazy.
mean, I don't think she's crazy. I think So you 100%, you can say with 100%, I'll go by the Karen Reed trial, 100% medical certainty that Sherry Pappni is crazy, concocted this entire hoax,
Yes.
and willingly allowed herself to be abused.
Yeah, and the Karen Reed case, by the way, it's come out that she said that she may have killed him.
Well, that's been out for a while.
But
That's
she's
been
like,
out for a while.
Maybe I did run him over.
No. That's been out for a while, Dave.
Well,
that's
you know what?
Out.
Now I'm thinking maybe she did do it. She did.
No. I've watched the trial. I've watched the trial every day. She did not say that. All she said was, "Could I have hit him? Maybe. Is it possible? Did I hit him?" She was asking.
Yeah, that crazy bitch killed him.
No, she was the one who found his body on the yard. So her immediate thought was, "Oh my God, could I have done this? Did I do this?" But if you actually watch the trial, like I do every day, they have the. Okay, we're checking our phone again. You should haven't yawned that much. They have the top.
I'm telling you, she might be crazy too.
Karen Reed is not crazy. Karen Reed is
about that.
Karen Reed is brilliant. She worked for a financial planning firm.
It doesn't have anything to do with crazy.
You're right. It doesn't have anything to do with crazy, but she exhibited no signs of being crazy before this. And you don't know the entire story. When you have all the information, if you make the determination she's crazy, I can effectively debate you on that. But I can tell you that yesterday they had ARCA, which is the top accident reconstructionists in the country. They do studies on football players, hockey players to make their safety better. Okay, Boomer, are you telling me you can't see the crazy on her face? Are you telling me about Karen Reed?
No, he's talking about Pappni.
I notice you posting great. However, yeah. Sherry Pappni, I see her mental illness. I don't see she's crazy.
That is crazy.
Okay, yeah. I think that she has.
Have you ever gone on a date with a girl and you're like, "Yo, that bitch is crazy"?
Yes, but I think that there's a difference between insanity and mentally ill.
It's all crazy.
Yeah, but is insanity a form of mental illness?
Yeah,
I know. So. I know, like being a sociopath and all that, borderline personality. People with mental issues like she has, it shows in her eyes. That's why you avoid some people.
Yeah, I think that's true.
So you put
you know the crazy eyes, like how many like.
Yes, I have.
I've been on a date. I've been on a date with a girl. I've enjoyed times with back in the day. That I knew she was crazy. Like it was a limited time.
Yeah, I know.
Like, crazy eyes. She had the eyes like this, like like.
You think Sherry Pappni has crazy eyes? She's a mother. If you look at her pictures, she doesn't have crazy.
Crazier. Let's say Pappni. Yeah, she definitely got crazy eyes.
So, are you telling me if you met Sherry Pappni 8 years ago that you would have not gone on a date with her?
Well, I'd have to see a better look.
She's gorgeous. She's absolutely gorgeous. Yeah, if you see her in pictures,
going on a date with her and marrying her are two different things.
Well, that's why I asked if you would go. Okay, that is true. But my point is you'd go on a date with her. I don't think that you can become a masochist overnight. Like if you see her being interviewed, her first interview, she's completely curled up, almost in the fetal position.
Okay.
She's traumatized.
It didn't mean she wasn't traumatized. She put herself in that situation.
I think she may have put herself in that situation.
You
I
think he
don't
took
know.
it too far, this guy, or what?
That's what I think. Yeah, I think that there may have been a plan to do
Advantage?
this. There may have been a plan to do this hoax, but the kidnapping eventually became real and out of hand, and he took it too far. I
Oh,
well, that's why I said there's one story, there's the other story, and then there's she was a very good actress. She actually was not a very good actress. She gave multiple stories. Why did he let her go? Because she asked to be let go. She asked to be let go because she wanted to see her children. That's why she was let go. I just think that the kidnapping went too far. I think he took advantage of it.
I think she said, "Hit me with hockey pucks."
You
Brandy.
I that I agree with. Maybe she did say hit me with hockey pucks.
I've been a bad girl.
Right. Kidnappers do
She
that
was
all
having
the
sex
time.
with this guy, right?
All you have to do is ask to be let go.
Right. Exactly. You're 100% right, Boomer. So,
all right, Boomer. Is this Chris D on another?
No. So let me put the pieces together here for you, in how I just hearing this.
I've tried to explain this.
Okay.
Yes.
So she had sexual relations while being kidnapped.
Allegedly, yes.
Okay.
There was
part of the little freaky repertoire was branding and getting hit with a hockey puck.
Have you ever heard of that before? Like, have you ever heard of anyone?
I've been in some scenarios that
I've been in scenarios too. They've never involved.
And there you know. So you know.
I mean,
you know how crazy bitches can be.
Candle wax, yeah, but like branding, that's a whole nother level. That's what people do to sex traffickers. Like if they're gonna traffic her in sex,
Well, maybe that's what
her.
you wanted to set up it to look like, some sort of thing like that.
Maybe she did. Kidnappers do that all the time. She had to make it look like she really was kidnapped. Yes, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, if she got kidnapped and she came back 115 pounds.
Yes, it would not have worked. It would not have worked. Boomer, I just wanted to know if you watched the most recent documentary on HBO Max.
All these things are slanted. They try to tell a story. I don't.
Well, yeah, but they left out some key parts in some of the other documentaries that were proven as factual in this documentary.
All I know is this, okay?
Oh, she did watch some. Okay, so Boomer, you don't believe her first.
There's a wide range of how females can be on this spectrum. Okay.
Well, you understand. Were you a female studies major? Like you understand women better than anyone.
Well, I mean, I just think that I've dated and I grew up in an interesting situation.
Oh, okay.
And I dated a lot for a long time.
The word that comes out of her mouth.
The spectrum over here is
okay. All right, I'm wrong then.
Crazy, and the spectrum over here is like
attention seeking.
Okay. In the middle is
she does. You're right. Boomer is right. She does have a record for making things up, and she has run away before. That is 100% true.
Okay. So that
is true. That is true. She
was there. She was with him. She was making it look like she was having sex with him to keep him doing the things that she wanted him to do.
She used sex to control him.
The kidnapper.
She did it again and again.
Listen, if he does something, he says, "Man, I don't want to."
He thinks he's being the knight in shining armor, coming to rescue her from a bad.
I don't want to go to jail for this. I don't know if I should keep doing this. She has sex. She has sex with him. He does some more things.
Oh, okay. All right, I can see that.
She used sex to control him.
Okay, I can see that. So when he comes to pick her up, he's the white knight in shining armor.
Maybe
He
she's a
thinks he's
squirter.
She's too little to be a squirter.
You don't know. You
But
you don't know.
you know what? That actually is plausible and makes sense that once they got back to his place, and then she starts asking him to do all this crazy stuff to her.
So obviously,
he was afraid of getting charged. So
she wanted to have a meeting here. She wanted to hit up some old, and he was just stupid. Yeah, I agree. Like I think there are guys.
She did, yes. They were engaged.
There are guys that are like, "Yo, let me get a chance. I'll do it. I'll get a chance to hit it." You know, like they're crazy dudes too. Like they're dudes that are crazy that'll do dumb shit. Like.
No, I agree.
They live in Redding, California, which is like, nowhereville. There isn't a whole lot going on.
Have you heard of it?
No, I just looked it up while we're on the podcast. It's in the middle of like 900 forests, so it's
okay.
Yes.
Women have led me places I wouldn't visit.
That's 100% right, dude.
After dark with a plan.
That's how I know there is a God, because I've somehow gotten out of these situations that I've been in.
And this dude did the same. So this man, you think, was completely controlled and manipulated by Shari?
I don't know if he was controlled, but he was manipulated. And he was willing to be manipulated. He wanted to be manipulated
he was
because
doing the right thing.
She said, if you let me,
she said, my husband is beating me. That's why he came and got her. I'm in an abusive relationship. My husband's beating me. Please come save me.
And she said, I miss you to him. And she said, yeah, 100% she did. 100%, dude. 100%.
Well, they use burner phones, but let's be honest.
They use burner phones. Okay.
Well, see, but that's the thing. They said that they used burner phones, but it was not conclusively proven, because I don't think burner phones can come up with geofencing or anything. So they weren't able to conclusively prove it, but she did admit to it.
To me, to be a dude, this is just like fucking
Gone Girl.
And in Gone Girl, okay,
she comes back at the end, right?
He comes back. He knows she planned it and takes her back. That's the twist at the end.
Oh, he knew it all the time.
He fucking hates her. Like they don't get along, and then she concocts this whole thing.
But was she? Did she actually?
Boyfriend. She goes to an ex-boyfriend. She kills the ex-boyfriend. She gets away with it.
She kills the ex-boyfriend.
Yeah, you gotta see the movie. It's a great movie, by the way.
No, I heard it was, because this was considered the Gone Girl case, like the real Gone Girl. And the FBI, when questioning her, asked her, did you see the movie Gone Girl? Because this is kind of what it was based on.
Exactly, Gone Girl. It's exactly.
Were there children involved in Gone Girl?
Oh, no. No.
Not yet. Okay.
But I think she tells him at the end she's pregnant or something.
Oh, wow.
Or she gets pregnant after she comes back to him. I can't remember. But like she's with him in the end. So you're like, he's not gonna take her back. Like he knows when he realizes she's full of shit, like he's gonna have, like he knows she's full of shit, and he knows she's batshit crazy. Yeah. And then he takes her back.
The heart wants what the heart wants sometimes. I mean,
sometimes.
But Boomer, all I have to say is, like, I don't think she wanted out of her family responsibility. She loved being a mother. Like, that was her passion. She loved her children.
No, you said she didn't, though. You said he didn't think she was a good mother, the husband.
He didn't. That's what he said in the interviews. But she did love her children. She didn't like giving up her job. Yeah,
She's
she did say that.
narcissist. They're complete narcissist.
Well, the psychologist did
Likes
not
what
label
she could
her a
control.
narcissist.
Did they say she was?
No,
What did they
they
say she was?
they labeled her something else that had to do with
Something
being a
else,
people.
and the same psychotic guideline.
No. Was
Bipolar.
because it doesn't seem like she is her own son has nothing. Yeah, because the husband poisoned the son to believe that mommy ran away.
It's not hard to poison.
Well, no. I'm just saying that she did love being a mother. She did not love giving up her career because she was completely financially dependent on Keith for money.
I would like to analyze you psychologically.
You can't. I'm impenetrable. Do you know how many therapists I've had?
I don't know. Have you had?
I've had 4. I've hated all of them. I fired all of them. The last one I fired was a couple months ago because listen, this is what the therapist said to me, and it angered me. She said that, Steve, you know what? You're very intelligent, and you're quite charming. You're very nice. This is how the session opened, which is unusual because she usually hammered me for something. And I said, "Oh, well, thank you. That's very kind of you to say." And her response was, "So was Ted Bundy." And I was like, so now we're comparing me to Ted Bundy? She's like, "No." She's like, "But I just want you to know, after spending time with you, I diagnose you. I fully believe that you have some sort of borderline personality tendencies."
Okay.
And that angered me, and I fired her. I am not borderline. There's nothing about me that's borderline. And and when you start off by saying you're charming and so is Ted Bundy, how do you think someone's going to react to that? How would you react to that? Dave, you're so smart. You're charming. You're nice. And you'd say, "Oh, well, that's kind of you to say. Very thoughtful." So is Ted Bundy. Would you could getting mood changes is not BPD. I'm not. I don't get mood changes. My mood is steady. It's cool.
I don't know about that, my friend. I don't know about that. There's some people that would say differently.
Mood changes. You would say that I'm moody?
Not with me.
Not with you?
Yeah.
Who? You can't go off of what Shane says.
I have other people that have.
You have other sources. You have other sources that say I'm moody.
I don't know if the word would be moody.
Temperamental.
That might be a good word. Yeah.
Temperamental. Okay. Other sources that have described me as temperamental.
Yes. I think you're good with me. Maybe because we align more on what we're trying to accomplish. But I think you have a hard time if someone challenges what you're doing. And like, so if I were to challenge you.
You're challenging me on this case. I'm not.
But this is part of our shtick. I'm saying if I were to challenge you personally outside of our.
Okay. How would you challenge me personally?
I'm just saying. I'm not giving.
I'm
saying if there was something that we like, let's say there was something that was contentious, okay.
Right.
I don't know. I'm just saying. I'm saying something.
Somebody obviously said something to you that labeled me as contentious and that I'm moody.
I don't know. It wouldn't be moody. I don't think they said moody.
They didn't say moody. They just said Concern?
Voice concern.
Well, yeah. I mean, because I'll say stuff out of left field, but it's for entertainment purposes. Or are you saying off air?
Off air concern.
It's off air concern. Okay,
Not
that's
on air. I don't on air. We understand. You know, it's
yeah, that's different. If it's off air, yeah.
It's part of like, you know, nobody's really like getting at anybody like seriously. But
Yeah,
like,
if it's off air, absolutely.
okay. So as far as like so I wouldn't say that you know, like I don't know your whatever you call them, therapist, but I think therapists tended to, in my opinion, I've only been through a couple in my time, but to jump to conclusions without knowing all the facts.
Well, I mean, this
Because that's what they're trained to do. Because if you come to them,
they have to show that they're
they
worth.
got to show that they know something in order to get you to come back. In this case, now what would be concerning to me was, why did she jump to Ted Bundy with you?
Listen, first of all, this wasn't a jump to conclusion. This was like a 3-month deal. Like
Okay. So after 3 months, she concluded that you had Ted Bundy tendencies?
No. She said that I had borderline personality.
Okay.
BPD. That was her conclusion. But
did anybody else ever conclude that?
No.
Do you think that maybe because you played the line and you were obviously, you know, like really like getting after, and you played for a long time. You played beyond college, not just but you played. How many years did you play in the pros?
Probably 7 total.
Oh, you played 7 years in the world league and all that. Okay.
No, I played a couple in NFL Europe, a couple in Arena, and a couple in Canada.
Okay, so that's a long time. So that's a very long time. So because I always thought that college, if you play just college in high school, there's a certain level of beat upness you get. When you get to the pros, because of the speed level and the high level of and you played before they kind of changed some of the parts of the game.
Yes, big time. Yeah.
I would say that the game's changed a lot more, where I'm not saying people don't get it, but it's probably going to take more of like a 10-year career of really getting beat up to get it the way that, you know, you probably could have got it in college back then.
And, you know, guys are retiring younger now, especially.
So I would say that, you know, those things could cause, the repeated blows could cause you to be short, but not necessarily have BP. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean, depression, anxiety. Yes, I've been diagnosed.
Temperamental at times.
But BPD is something serial killers have. That's why.
But there's spectrum levels of BPD. You know,
there are.
Like, of course, there are people that have BPD that causes them to get fired from jobs, and then there are people that have BPD that causes them to get fired from a job because they're a little temperamental. That's on the beginning of the spectrum. A person has BPD that is is a serial killer.
That's a sociopath.
That's a sociopath, right? So, like you know, for example, the movie, what was the great movie with the guy who played Batman?
Michael Keaton.
No, the movie where he's a serial killer. The show Dexter is taken off of it.
Not Seven.
No, that guy was a sociopath. But what's the guy's name who plays the guy who played Batman?
Val Kilmer?
No, not Kilmer.
Clooney?
No.
I'm running out of Batmans here.
The best Batman, in my opinion, of all of them.
The best Batman out of all of them was Michael Keaton.
No. Best Batman was the guy who takes on
Heath Ledger? Oh,
no,
Christian Bale. Oh, you're thinking Psycho. You're thinking Christian Bale.
Yes, Christian Bale. What was that? American Psycho.
Oh, American Psycho. You're comparing me to American Psycho?
No, I'm saying you're in the front side where if I don't know if you might have symptoms. If you had it, let's say, you would be like the guy who got fired at his job because he got mad at his boss. Okay,
Right.
The American Psycho is the far end of the other spectrum, where not only is he mad at the boss, and he's mad because they recognize, but he's going to go and then kill everybody because of the fact that he doesn't.
But you have to remember, at the end, it was all in his imagination. He did none of it.
I know the
right.
movie. Yes.
Right. So,
well, hold on. The movie leads you down to, this is a totally different topic. One of my favorite movies, by the way, of all time.
Oh, it's the greatest. I love it too.
The Huey Lewis in the news part. So your conclusion at the end of that movie, and this is off the rails here, but at the end of that movie is that he was dreaming it, right?
He confesses to the police that he did all these things, and they just look at him like he's nuts. And then the cop that walks in that he allegedly kills is alive, right. And that's why
that's why you think it was literally like a psycho, like psychotic moment, right?
Right. But people have not described me as unlikable.
I wonder. I thought maybe that nobody just believed him, and he did do all those things, and they thought the story was so.
No, it was because the cop came in that he said he killed. I'm pretty sure at the end.
I think I remember that at the end. Yeah. Okay, I'm curious if they give were real result. Many viewers initially interpreted as a dream. Director Mary Harron and the director stated they intended for it to be open-ended.
Yeah, of course they
not
did.
A definition of all in his head solution. A resolution.
Oh, so maybe I got it wrong. The ending, I must have forgotten.
Right. Well, it's not. It's neither. It's what did you believe? Did you believe that he dreamed it?
Oh, I see what you're saying. In the end, I know he's confessing, and I thought the cop that he said he murdered walked in, and then they just left, basically leaving it ended, or saying that it never happened.
Yes, it's supposed to be led to be open-ended.
So you're saying that this man had borderline personality, just on a different level?
No. There's psycho. Like, borderline personality is like a spectrum.
It's not like autism where there's a spectrum. You're telling me BPD is a spectrum?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Everybody has some, like, people might have like okay, OC. Let's use OCD, which people who have BPD sometimes have OCD, right? OCD.
Well, I definitely don't have that.
No. But obsessive compulsive disorder could be considered on the spectrum.
There's spectrums for that.
Yeah, and there is spectrums for OCD, right? There was a girl who went to UConn who was the baton twirler. She was phenomenal. Like, she happened to live on my. I don't know if she lived on my floor or my door. I can't remember. But
all she did was twirl the baton 24 hours a day.
She practiced like you couldn't believe. Now, here's what was wild. Okay, I didn't know what to make of this. It happened to be a night. I was sitting at my it must have been the spring. I was sitting in my or maybe it was during football season because I wasn't going out. So I'd sit by the window and see who was coming back and just chilling, like relaxing, watching. And I happened to look out the window and
there's a baton being thrown up and down.
No, she was coming back from the bar. Okay. And I watched this person go up the stairs and then go back down the stairs, go up the stairs again and go back down the stairs, go up the stairs.
How can you see that from the window?
Because I lived in the second McMahon. I lived in the second.
You're out on the balcony. I got you.
No, not the balcony, but the windows were like.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. About.
You know, if you remember how they were.
You
So
can see the stairs. Yes.
you could see out. Yeah, you could see out completely. Yeah.
Yes.
So up the stairs, down, up the stairs, down. This went on for like an hour. It went on to the point where I almost went down
She didn't have a baton though. She was just walking up and down the stairs
because she wasn't doing it the way that she wanted to do.
She had to be perfect.
Had to be perfect or whatever in her mind it was, right? And I almost went down there because she was a very nice girl. Yeah, I was concerned. Yeah, I was concerned. Like at first I thought it was funny. Like I'm like, oh my, she's going up and down. Like I don't know what she did. I thought she was dancing or something.
Did this go on for like hours?
After watching this go on for like a half hour, 45 minutes, I was like,
oh,
like people would pass her going up and she was still doing it. And I almost went down there. Like, do you need help? Like, can I help you? But she was a baton thrower. She would do all the she was unbelievable. I mean, she was a pretty girl, like really nice, great student, really nice person. Right.
You
like,
would never know.
I didn't date her. Like I didn't know her that. Like I knew her because she did the games and like she would talk to me. Like, but like I didn't date her or anything. But like she was just a nice person. But I almost went down. Like I didn't know her that well, but I almost went down. Was like maybe I should go down and help. Like I didn't know. And then eventually she went up. Okay, and then she went up. But I was the whole time I'm thinking like, should I go down there and like help her? I didn't know. But that's
scary. Yeah.
That's pretty scary, right? And probably maybe because she went out and she had drinks and maybe it kind of like
threw her off.
Threw her off. Whereas if she was sober, she probably
could have made it the first time.
Rationally would have worked her way through it. You know what I mean? But now that she was, so that's what that's what went through my head. And so I thought, wow, there are spectrums of this whole thing. Like there are people that are obsessively compulsive that want everything neat.
Yes.
You wouldn't know it. You wouldn't know it unless you were sitting there and you put your something dirty on the ground, and all of a sudden they vacuumed it up. You would be like, oh wow, that's that's a little over the top, but not a huge deal though, right? Doesn't affect your life. Then there's something like that could maybe could make them great at something, right? She was great at this. And it could make, like, she was at school for free for this. That's how good she was. Like she was the main person, right? But that's a different level of compulsion.
Different levels.
Right. So that's my point on there are spectrums anyway. But
right. But you wouldn't describe me as
she was trying to say to you, what I was saying is she was trying to say to you, but had no tact in doing it. She was trying to say to you, well, there are people like Bundy who are crazy, really crazy, and you might have a mild form of it.
She was trying to soften the blow. I know that.
She was right. She was saying you might have a little bit of this, and she was trying to, but she did a poor job of explaining, which is why you should fire her, by the way, which is what you did.
I did.
Because if she can't explain.
She was trying to make a joke out of it. She was trying to make
it a good joke. That's not a good joke.
She was trying to make it seem like it wasn't a big deal.
That's not a good joke, right? Like if someone was to make a diagnosis, they should explain to you what
she did after, but
you don't lead with that. That's a mistake.
But and then of course I go down the rabbit hole and look it up.
Of course.
And most serial killers have borderline. So that's what kind of like angered me.
Yeah, but that's my point on their levels. Like there are the spectrum. Serial killers are the extreme, right? Most people who have these things are not dangerous, right?
Right, but it's also not really treatable. That was the other concern I had.
I don't know enough about it. So
yeah, it's not. It's reframing your thoughts, and it's more.
Well, I'm reading right here. BPD is treatable. It's not curable.
It's treatable in a sense, changing how you think, changing the way you behave, changing the way you interact with people.
Well, I'll put it like this. Like that's why psychology is really like, I think the only way you go to one is if you know you're going to somebody that's really good, because I think there's a lot of psychologists that throw terms out
They
where
do.
where someone can have 2 or 3 symptoms and they
And
say,
this is what you are.
this is
Yeah.
what you are. You're a narcissist. You're BPD. You're OCD, right? But like you might have traits. Everyone probably has traits
Of everything. I agree.
of everything, right?
Yeah.
And like, because otherwise, how else would you get in a fight? How else would you get in an argument? As a human being, like there's certain things that are meant, in my opinion, mental coping mechanisms that allow you to live. Now, at the extremes, they're dangerous,
Correct.
right? At the
Correct.
extremes, they're dangerous. No person didn't ever not think of harming somebody else when something went wrong and they were annoyed. But actually going and doing it is a
It's
different,
a different story. Yes.
different story, right? So that's there's a level of no control over impulse. Obviously, Ted Bundy, zero control over impulse. Zero.
Right. But he was
Right?
very charming and very nice
Uh,
and intelligent.
Listen, you know who I think is great but concerns me? Elon Musk.
Oh, well, Elon's on the spectrum.
Yes. Okay. So there's a good example in a
Yeah.
different
Yeah.
thing. Okay, but he's on the spectrum. Okay, when you see someone who's on the spectrum lose it, now Elon's on the mild form of it, right? He's on the very, very culpable. He's a genius, and a lot of geniuses are on the spectrum.
Well, yes, they have
Your
mental
mind is on the borderline
of brilliance and
and you're on the edge. Like you
Yeah.
know, like how do you compute thoughts that other people can't compute? You know what I mean? Like
absolutely.
you have to be near that edge. So it's no different than a great athleticism. Like, and you played at obviously a really high level, right? So when you play at a really high level, you have extreme athleticism, and then you're working hard. You realize that you're pushing the boundaries of things that could make you. You actually see that it can make you better than everybody else. You actually realize there's a point when you're like, if I really, 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 really go all in, like how good could I be?
How good could you be? Yeah.
Yeah, how good could you be? And you start to, and it's kind of sometimes even like a thought process where you may not actually be that elite, but you see where the finish line is to that extent, right?
Yeah, you want to be as good as you can possibly be. You want to take yourself to the best that you're capable
Right.
of.
You're like, wow, I'm actually here competing with the very best there is. Like, what is it that I have to figure out to be as good as them? Like, I'm there. You're literally like, you're right there. Like, like in general athleticism, I always felt like I was very, very, like, I could do almost anything athletically well. Almost anything.
Where I was a poor athlete.
No, but as a lineman, though, you were right near the end. Like,
Nah, I don't think so.
Maybe you weren't athletic enough to be.
Yes.
But as far as technique-wise, toughness, knowledge of the game, you were there.
Yes.
So everybody's missing something that otherwise you'd be Michael Jordan, right? So, but you can see where that line is. It's like when you get to a certain point as an athlete, you see, wow, okay, here's what the best is. I'm not really that far away from the best. It's just, can I get there? I don't know. Am I willing to get there too? Like everyone always says they're willing to get there, but there's a lot of things you really have to do to squeeze out. You're squeezing
very
out,
few are.
Like the difference between a guy who is a Hall of Famer and a guy like you who are in the World League is really much smaller than people realize. It's much smaller than realize, but it's enough to be the difference between being a millionaire plus and being in the European League.
Yeah.
But you can see it because you're playing with some of those guys and you see it and you're like, wow, I'm really not that far. It's just it's this
I get there.
Yes. Most people don't get there, right? Most people don't even get there. So same thing mind-wise, right? Like Elon knows for a fact in his own brain.
He's accepted it, yes.
that he's probably that he probably has this slight issues, but he also knows that he's probably smarter than 99.99%. He's like a Michael Jordan level thinker, right?
Intellectually, yes.
But now he's challenged.
Right.
Now he's challenged that his thought process is correct. Like basically Trump and his team is challenging the fact that, Elon wants Trump to go farther on the bill and all that kind of stuff. And Trump is challenging back to this is how we see it. We see it differently.
This is our plan. Yeah.
When you're the most brilliant, now you start to get into this you start to get into this thing that doesn't compute well in your brain. What does that say?
Boomer says you're worried about Elon and not Bill Gates, who has publicly said we.
Listen. Bill Gates is a lunatic. So Elon, I like.
Bill Gates is a lunatic.
I think Bill Gates is a control freak. I don't know.
Wants attention.
I don't know if Bill Gates is on the spectrum or not because I don't know enough about him. But Bill Gates enjoys
fueling the fire. I get that
control and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, but that's what I think is so interesting about like people who are brilliant. Like they're like,
they're on the cusp of insanity. I get that, but you would never describe me as being borderline.
No. I don't really know exactly what is borderline traits. Let's look it up.
Well, when you read them, you'll kind of see. I definitely meet a lot of the criteria.
What are the traits? I don't know. I mean, listen, everybody has these at some point.
You're trying to be nice.
I'm reading these like these are so general. Like, give me a break. The answer is everybody has these traits. So you would have to really,
right.
Like everybody has these. Everybody has moments of these things. It really depends on levels to it.
Right.
So.
Right.
No, I would say. I mean, I'm not a psychologist,
but you would say that I'm liked by people generally.
Oh, I think you're very well liked. You're incredibly well liked.
But people get concerned because they think I'm a little off the deep end.
No, they might be concerned because of history.
Sure.
Very and then true. That you would go off the deep end because of history. I think that would be more to concern than are you any of those things?
Right.
Like someone like me wouldn't know because I don't know enough. Wouldn't know if your past history, if that was a conscious choice or it was things that led to it. Right. So those are definite things. Listen, I play ball with guys that and you know this too. You probably play balls with guys like this who love drugs but weren't an addict. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you play ball with guys who couldn't control it, and there were certain things that led to it. Right. So there's huge spectrums of those kind of things. Like,
of course.
I think it's very.
I was never an addict when I played, though.
No, right? No, you were. That's what I'm saying. This was post. I do wonder with football, like as long as you played, and you obviously you talk with Nowitzki and he's helped you through that stuff. Yeah, because I think he's a good person to talk to, or if I was ever to talk to any person, that would be get someone that he recommends. Because
he did, yes.
Because you have people because you played so long in a very, very physical position.
Very.
And not a physical position, meaning like wide receivers come across the middle, and when they get stuff from playing a long time, it's from like a blow once a game that's like jarring. Yours is repeated blows, like repeated small blows. You know what I mean? So it's and I think that's the challenge from the era that we played in. You know what I mean? That's the challenge from like I remember when I did not get picked up for the NFL and the arena and CFL teams that came to me. My agent came to me. He said, "Hey, would you want to go to Edmonton? Would you want to go? There was a team called like the Red Jersey Red Dogs or something.
Yeah, the New Jersey Red Dogs. Yes.
Remember
Arena.
that? Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, we're going back. I was in the
They
'90s.
just didn't pay that well. That was
Okay. Oh, so that was it. Yeah. Right. So I really didn't. I knew the Edmonton Eskimos were, but I didn't know much about the New Jersey Red.
the Red Dogs. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know much about it, and I was just like, well, what is the pay scale? And he told me what it was. And I basically had a thought process at that moment where I was like, if I'm not good enough to be in the NFL,
Yeah. Why beat yourself up for a couple
I
grand a week?
felt like I was already physically beat up.
Well, you were. You played two of the most physical positions on the field.
Right. And I felt like,
and had injuries. And yeah, of course.
and I remember the first time I felt like, wow, I feel pretty good. So I was in grad school for another year at UConn, finishing my MBA, and then my first year working when I was in Virginia. So it was 2 years after I was playing. I remember sitting on at the pool, and I was like, oh, I feel pretty good. Like my body felt good.
You're healing up for once.
My head felt normal,
Absolutely.
like I was like, I never had a processing issue or anything, but as far as just feeling like normal,
Yeah.
right? And then what was interesting is I felt really pretty good, other than when I had to get scopes or anything like that, all the way till I was probably, I would say, in my mid 40s.
40s. That's when it hits you. Yeah.
And then my body I started to feel it in my body.
Big
I
time.
don't feel anything really in my head, but I felt it in my body, I was like, whoa.
Well, yeah. Well,
Beyond the just like
physical
going and playing sports, like I would go play basketball, in my 30s, and I would feel beat up the next day, but it wasn't that I was no more beat up than anybody else. It was when I was in my 40s, and all of a sudden I couldn't run anymore. Like if I slept wrong, if I didn't stretch out, like I have to stretch every day.
Every day. Yeah.
But it amazing. People are like, does that really help? I'm like, I'm telling you, it helps. If I don't go and stretch a day, like if I at least went a week and I'm like, I'm feeling great, I'm not gonna do shit.
You couldn't get out of bed without stretching.
Now when I stretch though, I feel great. I have no problem, like very low amount of problems, But it's interesting. It's interesting. Anyway, I don't know how we got on this topic, but
because I just wanted to know if you thought I was borderline, and
no. But listen, the problem with looking at all that stuff is
the spectrum. There are different levels of it, which she never explained that.
No, everybody. Well, what am I getting? You're a short one. Okay.
She never explained that there was a spectrum or different levels of borderline.
What's that?
She never explained there were different levels of borderline, or that there was a spectrum. So I'm thinking borderline, sociopath, serial killer.
What's that?
I was thinking, so serial killers, sociopath, borderline.
Yeah,
that was my thought process.
That's not the case.
And I was like, wow, that's not good. And then the treatment for it is very challenging and difficult. And
I'm against it. Any of that kind of stuff, unless you really, really, really need. Listen, I was diagnosed, and it went away, but I was diagnosed a while back with this thing called Globus, where it was like my throat would feel like it was closing.
Yeah.
They feel like they thought it was some sort of level of like a psychological possible.
It wasn't an allergy?
They tested everything. There was nothing wrong, right?
Wow.
I didn't know what it was. I think it was what I was eating. Like, I think I was eating a lot of bread and pizza and stuff like that, and it led to it. And anytime I do that, I feel it come on a little bit. Well, the guy I went to, The guy I went to prescribed me to get one of the ways to get rid of it. I looked it up too. Is like this light antidepressant, right?
Yeah,
I guess it calms the nerve, right?
like Lexapro, Celebrex, something like
I
that.
don't remember what it was. It was,
Yeah.
dude. I took this thing. I took it for like not more than a couple of weeks,
And
and
you were a zombie.
I was like, "Fuck no,
Yeah, it
fuck
makes you
no.
a zombie.
Dude." I would
That's what it
sleep. I
does.
would sleep in like 10 hours, dude.
Yeah, it makes you a zombie.
And I mean, I was okay after that, but I mean, you would sleep and and then you'd have these dreams that were like fucking
Very vivid dreams.
vivid dream. I was like, fuck no. So
Same
they
way,
also sent me to therapy for it. I was like, you know what? I'll go to do the therapy like for the vocal cord stuff.
Yes.
And that helped tremendously.
Yes.
And I think that helped it. And then I tried to change some of the stuff. I was like, you know, if I was going to eat junk food, I wasn't going to eat like too much breaded stuff and if I did, the next day I couldn't because then it wouldn't come on. Now it's gone, you know, it's gone completely. But
Was it listed as carb related?
I think I might, I don't know. I'm self-diagnosing it.
Okay.
Maybe it could be carb related. It could be yeast, what do you call it? Gluten related,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? But there's no like official things on these gluten things, right? So could have been gluten related, like heavy amounts of it. I don't know. But I just know that as long as I'm not getting crazy, like if I ate, like we had pizza and I ate like several slices of pizza tomorrow, do not eat it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
If I got ice cream, like, and I felt it come on, I can't have ice cream.
I can't. I'm shocked at that your throat would swell up and it wasn't.
It was like the nerve, like you would feel like you would feel like you have to clear your throat all the time. Like there's something in there.
You didn't feel like you couldn't breathe.
Well, because of the fact that you feel like you would have to clear your throat,
it affects your breath.
Feel like right. So, but it was interesting. Like when I was on that for 2 weeks, I was like, "Whoa!" I'm like, I couldn't imagine people who have to take things, and it probably helps you, but you're like a zombie, dude. You're not the same.
When you have the condition, you feel different taking the medication than when you don't.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
100%. I've seen that in people. Yeah.
I think that causes other problems. Now, if someone's severe, like someone has severe, there's no choice, you know, and I don't, you know, like you don't want to be severe people to become Ted Bundy, but like, right. But if it's mild, like I think there are like
other ways to control.
Yes. Like physical therapy, like quote unquote physical therapy ways to try and work through those things, you know, because I think it's just that's the problem is that they want to just give people pills for mild conditions that you can monitor, and as long as you know you give them physical, it doesn't.
It's because there's kickback from the drug companies.
That's the problem. That's what it is.
Yeah, 100%.
And there are sometimes when guys if they utilize things the right way, I think the kickbacks is part of the problem with the drug companies.
Oh, huge.
And that's a problem. Like, I don't know. I think they tried to get rid of some of that. I don't know if they were able to, but it's definitely an issue because that's the first thing they think about. Well, shoot, if I'm going to get some extra money in my pocket, and if I have 100 customers, 100 clients, and they're all on it, I'm making thousands of dollars a month.
Well, you see when you go into a doctor's office how many pharmaceutical reps are usually there. I don't think I've ever gone into a doctor's office without a pharmaceutical rep waiting to see the doctor.
Yep.
Yeah, that's just how it is.
It's mind-blowing.
But yeah, that's I don't believe I'm borderline, and I reject it, and I fired her. So
that was great.
I think it was.
Fired her.
She was disappointed. She stands by her diagnosis, and she says, "I'll be back."
In Utica, is there a lot of good?
No.
That's the problem part, right?
No, that's a problem. No.
There's only a couple that are good, probably.
The best one I had was when I was living in Saratoga. She was good, but she
Oh,
didn't.
you lived in Saratoga?
Yeah, that's where I worked before I had the head-on car accident.
Oh,
Yeah.
you were living in Saratoga?
Well, I was living just outside of Schenectady.
Wilton? In Wilton? Oh, Schenectady.
Most of my work was in Saratoga because I had a lot of clients in Saratoga.
That was for the
I
radio,
love
or
Yeah, for the radio. Yeah, I love Saratoga.
Saratoga is unbelievable.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite places.
And how far a drive is that for where you are now?
Hour and 15 minutes.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I'd love
Great
to
place.
go. Yeah. Yeah, I just don't have a reason to go anymore.
Well, you go to just hang out and play the ponies. Does Frank ever go?
No, Frank won't go anywhere. Frank's pissed off because he has to go to Italy. And his family's in Italy.
For
He's
vacation?
going. Yeah, he's going there for his graduation thing. It's just a gift. He's absolutely miserable. He's booking his trip now. He's so angry at the pricing and all that. It's just hilarious.
Pricing must be crazy.
You can't get Frank to do anything. You can't get Frank to do anything. I couldn't get Frank to drive 30 minutes to Syracuse to go. I wanted to bring him to the Syracuse UConn game, and he wouldn't go. He won't do anything. Because listen, he works harder than anyone I've ever met.
That's right.
He's up at 8 o'clock in the morning. He's making pizza dough, bread, everything for the pizzeria. The shop opens at 10:30, 11. His employees are limited to retarded. So he has to do so much. And he hit it big with the buffet. The buffet's been doing great.
So it's doing great. That's awesome.
The buffet's doing great. Yes, that's
people
been
coming in.
Yes, his buffet is big.
He was doing some videos on the buffet for a while. I don't know if he still does them anymore.
The buffet is spectacular. It's just he has a great bar, and the bar should do a lot better, and it doesn't, and that's what I think irritates him because in our town, people go to a bar that's much more inferior, when they should be going to his. That's what angers him.
Is there music difference or?
Yeah. I think they had bands now in the summer. But yeah.
Does Frank have bands or no?
No. Frank had the comedy club. He redid everything to do the comedy club. Then he shut that down after a year. Then he spent like $300,000 to build Smoking Guns, the country western place. He shut that down after 8 months. And that's why I said my doggy daycare idea still stands the test of time.
You know what people get paid a lot of money to do?
What do they do?
Walking dogs.
I have one leg. You want me to walk a dog?
No, I'm just saying.
No, they do. They do get paid a lot to walk dogs. I would love to walk dogs. I don't know how many I could do at a time. I'd have to have a schedule, but yeah, I would totally do that.
Mm.
Well, it's good. So you don't think I have borderline personality? I'm going to email my psychiatrist and just let her know that you have concluded.
I diagnosed you're okay.
I'm going to say Dr. Schumann. Dr. Schumann has concluded I do not have borderline personality disorder, and that I'm not Ted Bundy. I'm as smart as Ted Bundy.
That I concluded.
Yeah. Do you have rec league tonight? Do you have a game tonight?
Flag tonight.
Okay. Do you have a tournament this weekend?
No, we have our championship flag on Sunday.
Okay.
Saturday we have, I think Friday we have one baseball league playoff, and then Saturday another one.
Okay. I will get you the information from Julius when we're doing this meeting. And then I have the dog food lady, because I do the animal shelter podcast. She has a national brand that's
great.
Money. Yeah.
Did you get the link I sent you to?
Yes, the link is phenomenal. Yeah.
I did a video, then I broke it out into 4 small videos.
But what exactly? I mean, it's obviously in addition to the subscription model, because it involves recruiting, it involves a bunch of other things, right?
What's that?
The Coach Schumann Subscribe, the network, the YouTube network. Are you renaming the YouTube network or no?
Coach Schumann, the Coach Schumann Network?
Well, I just have you. It's a website. You have a website.
No, that's just a website. But the link
Okay.
the link has the partnership and sponsorship opportunity.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that's what I need. Okay.
If you click on that link, you'll see.
Oh, perfect. I can send it.
I made a yes. You'll see.
Oh, I got it. Okay.
And then you'll see the video I made because Frank had a good idea. He asked me to make a video to talk about it, and I did.
Huge. That's
and
perfect.
then I broke it out. You know how you can make clips? I broke it out into 4 clips that highlighted some of the important things.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
So you can watch those too.
Biggest brands that are getting.
Yeah. So
should I for like the medical supplies place? Should I send all of them? Do you think?
I think you can share that the specific link that I sent you. Not
yes, I have a specific link. Okay,
specific link, and you tell them, you encourage them, look at that link, watch and then watch the video where Coach Schumann.
I got the videos. Yep.
The reach of the channel, and I show the numbers. I go through. So if you watch the video, I literally go through and I compare.
Oh, that's perfect. All right, then I got to get that to Kevin. All right.
Yes. So I compare it, but you have to watch the video. If they don't watch the video, they're not gonna.
All right. So I'll send it to Kevin, Phil, and this Bill Peterson cocksucker. All right. And then I have should I wait to send it to the striker guy until we get a meeting with him, or should I send it to him? The striker
over, yeah. See if watch the video, see if something that fits it, and then
okay. And then I'll give it to Julius. Perfect. All right, I'll get on that now.
All right, man. Yeah, do your thing.
All right, so I'm not borderline. Bloodlines and betrayal. Shari Pappni 100% did it. You don't think it's a hoax? She kidnapped herself. So for Detective Schumann, I'm Lieutenant Cully. Remember, when life gives you lemons, don't make lemonade. Take 2 oranges, throw them right back.